Welcome, travelers. I'm Lewanika of Tabletop Journeys, and this is On the Right Path. Hey, everybody. Lewanika here, back again from Tabletop Journeys, getting ready to jump into a live stream I do with a longtime friend and friend of the show, Benito Sinese, and the Streams of Spiro actual plays. I absolutely love that game. It's set in a game world that honestly our group has been playing in since I joined in 92 or 90 in 94. And my understanding is the game actually played for several years before that. At least the beginnings, the origins of that game world. But that's not why I'm here today. Let's jump into the things that I really wanted to talk to you about. So let's go, travelers. There's a good road ahead of us. I was on Facebook couple days ago, maybe a week or so ago, and I saw this post. It was pretty cool, actually. Nice little map, had a nice little village filled with all kinds of ambiance. I was like, ooh, adventures could be held there. And here's the thing, the person who posted it is a GM, but he's a GM who was about ready to run for some new players. And he posed a really interesting question. How do I make goblins exciting and interesting? I've got a smaller party, and they're going to go against 6 goblins. The heck am I going to do to make this an interesting as they try to attack a takeover village? How do they defend this village? How do I make that into a fun intro game to D&D? I had a lot of thoughts, and honestly, a couple things before we get started on those thoughts and some of my specific advice for this situation. One, intro games are tough. It's a lot of weight on a GM's shoulders. GMs feel that pressure to get players to love the game as much as we, the GMs, love this game. That's hard. Couple of things I want to say to all the GMs who are out there about to bring in new players today and time in memoriam. Give yourself some grace. You're going to do fine. If you have fun, they will have fun. That said, there are some tips, some techniques that make that process easier or make role-playing games, specifically D&D, easier to adopt. This is not an exhaustive list. This is the list that I use, Lewanika uses. I think I kind of share some of these things in common with the folks here at Tabletop Journeys. I've gamed with all of them. I started playing D&D with one of our major editors and one of the people who works on our various projects. I gamed back in the early days with my co-host Glenn, and we do a lot of the same things. I talk nearly every day about GMing, about gaming, story construction with Josh. And we do a lot of the same things, slightly different ways, but a lot of the same things. In fact, totally separate from when I was planning this little video, Josh was actually getting ready to start a brand new game for brand new players himself. You can see that on his vlog, also on our channel, as he talks about Stormwreck Isle. So let me set the stage for you. This is important. Setting the stage, part 1. New players to D&D who have very little or no role-playing experience. All of my answers are based on this basic fact. If that's the small group you have, no veterans or experts within this group of players, this advice is going to be very strong. If you have a veteran or two, it's probably still going to be very good, but there can be tweaks that go along with this, and I'm not getting into that into this short video. Second, provide pre-gens. Make this process easy. You can certainly do building characters when you're ready to do a long-term campaign, but to get them to understand the game and get them started, provide pre-gens. If you want to tweak a pre-gen here or there, change a spell, swap a stat, absolutely. but don't put them through that whole process of them picking and features, making choices that they don't understand how and why they work. That's a bad plan to start folks with. Give them a pre-gen, say, here's the character, let's get going. Or better yet, ask the player, what type of character do you think you want to play? What's the character in fiction you want to mirror as you begin this journey? That's the way to do it. Next, my advice is based on you homebrewing an adventure. You're creating something from scratch, or basically from scratch, to run for these players. Absolutely a fantastic idea. And that is not to downgrade Lost Mines of Phandelver or Stormwreck Isle. Those are great adventures. There are lots of good starter adventures or early level adventures. Adventures League has several that are going to be high quality that can also work. But this advice is specifically for home brewing, and I think it makes it a little easier to tailor the experience for these new players, and allows you to move some dials and levers a little bit more without unbalancing the overall picture of the adventure. And you control the quality and the type of game you're running in this situation. So that's the setup. That's how we're going to get started. With that said, let's get into it. There are three options to make a homebrew starter adventure really, really sing, in my opinion. And I think they're important. So, and I'm going to give you what the options are now, and then I'm going to give you a little description of them in just a moment. So here we go. Option one, environmental challenges. If you make at least your tentpole encounter, your big one, have an environmental challenge, that will help. Option two, create alternate goals for your players beyond just killing the bad guys. And option three, raise the stakes. This is important to do because that tension is what makes it dramatic. That drama is what makes it exciting. That excitement is what makes it fun. And that fun is what brings players back to the table. Now, as you are raising those stakes, be sure to keep it playable. You're not going for the TPK. You're not going for the gritty realism. You're going to make it feel like this is dramatic and exciting. And, ooh, that was a close call. That's what you're going for. So, again, environmental challenges, alternate goals, and raise the stakes. That's how we're going to get this done. Speaking about environmental challenges, in this scenario that the poster mentioned, it was pretty simple. It's a village. Goblins want to raid it. How do I make that exciting? Well, the answer is do something. Make sure that big raid, that battle at the end, that big thing that's happening takes place during a huge storm of some kind, a historic flood, some kind of calamity is happening, earthquakes, volcano in the distance, meteor storms, showers, whatever. But give the players something to do environmentally other than just beat the goblins. They have to do other things. Save a civilian because a building's falling down. Rescue some kid out of a well because he fell in when he was reaching for water as the goblins were attacking. Do something that keeps the players doing other things. If you've got limited bad guys, your players will tune in and get crushed them quickly if that's the only thing going on. Give them some other things. Now, alternate goals. I half got into that when I talked about other things going on, rescuing civilians, doing these other things. But when I talk about alternate goals, I mean give the goblins alternate goals. Goblins don't have to just want to raid because they want to raid. It isn't all about because they want somebody's fried chicken. It could be they have other things going on. Maybe the goblins are looking for a relic that was stolen by the town burgermeister or some greedy landholder or a captain of the guard. Maybe the goblins are raiding the town because they're being forced by an even more dangerous enemy that the players have not yet seen. And if you really want to get deep and next level on it, this may not work for every table or every group, but if you really want to make it that next level, maybe the goblins are raiding the town because there's an evil witch or hag amongst the townspeople. And that evil witch has been kidnapping goblins and goblin children for their own devious purposes. And the goblins just want to get their people back. The raid has nothing to do with hurting people. It's all about finding their kid. That's a nice twist. The goblins aren't really the bad guys. What do your players do with that? Exciting stuff. Now, I talked about raising the stakes, and here's what I mean. It can be tough for a starter adventure. 6 goblins seems like a good number versus a party of, say, 4. But narratively, makes 0 sense. Goblins raid in mass. That's how they work. Pack tactics, things like that. So how do you make that fun, narratively strong, and a good game for a small, low-level group? Well, honestly, what I like to do is I use minions, but I'm going to kind of do this a little differently. You've got 6 goblins out of the stat blocks from the D&D game. Split them up. One is a goblin boss. One is some other kind of goblin that's a little bit higher than your standard goblin. The other 4 are all standard goblins, but they're not working together. Each of them has a small pack of minion goblins. Now, you can do different things, use different stat blocks. You can use the basic goblin stat block if you like, but they work under a Lewanika version of minion rules. I'm going to do another video soon on just that, but let me just put it to you in the basics here. Minions go down in 1 hit. They never attack with advantage, even with their pack tactics. Only their leader does. And they always hit for half the stated damage. That's how I do it, especially with a level 1 or level 2 party. That keeps it a little easier, a little fairer, and it keeps it scarier. Now, each of those groups, 6 different groups, are in 6 different places in the village. You as the GM tell the party, the goblins are raiding. They're all over town. The party picks which area they go to. They're going to fight one group. They fight a group of goblins. That's 1 goblin and minion goblins. When they beat that group, they get the ability to go to find the leader of the goblin, the boss, the one that's going for that alternate goal. Now the players go after that goblin. Once 2 groups are defeated, the rest flee. The players never have to deal with them again. The issue is they simply have that fear of this massive goblin attack. Their success kind of dictates what's happening in the town, how well the town does. If they lose a party member goes down, the town suffers great damage. If they fight cleanly and don't come out without a scratch, then the town, that first group, that first fight, the first bunch of rounds, the town does fine. The town's holding its own. When they get to that boss fight, how the party looks is a reflection of how the town looks. Exciting stuff. But here's the deal. What happens if the players find the boss first? Excellent. That's even better. Now they face the boss. Let's say they defeat the boss. Now, all the leaders of each of those little packs, they converge on the players. They don't care about the goal anymore. They want revenge for their boss. So that 1 lieutenant and all those regular goblins come to the party. All the minions know their boss is dead and they skedaddle. They're out. Now you've got the party and 5 goblins. Party's a little weaker because they fought the boss first. And now they're taking on this group. Again, let this kind of happen the way the party goes. The parties beat the bosses cleanly. Maybe that lieutenant is half health, or maybe those folks are tired. Give them that exhausted 1 rule on those goblins. Do something to reflect the way the battle has gone, positively or negatively. And you've got an exciting battle and a great way to go. Again, we're going to do a couple things. Environmental challenges. Make something happen environmentally. Big storm, big flood. I'm thinking Hard Rain from the 90s movie with Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater. Dante's Peak, if it's a volcano kind of thing. There's a whole bunch of ways to make that really cool and give the player something neat to grab onto. I will tell you, They will think every D&D game is that epic. They're never going to want your standard boring dungeon crawl again. They're going to want the good stuff. But that's exactly what you want in that first adventure. Alternate goals. Make sure your goblins are there to do more than take some barrels of fish and some meat, right? They got to be there for a good purpose, something that's exciting and narratively strong. If they're there for that, the rest of it really comes together nicely. And lastly, raise the stakes. Bring in those minions, keep them there so narratively it feels like a real true raid, even though mechanically the players aren't dealing with anything significantly more difficult than what they would have in any standard game. They're not fighting 80 things at once. They're fighting each small group, no more than 5 or 6 at a time. By the way, with those minions, it's pretty simple. 1 minion per player at level 1. 1 minion per player at level 2. At level 3, 1 minion per player, add an extra minion. Simple as that. The numbers look awesome. The players feel like they beat an army. And all they're doing is having 2 separate fights with a small group, but it felt really cool. Hey, if you can do all that, that's pretty awesome. What I'm here to say is, if you like this idea, if you want to do something, tell me how you would embellish that. Tell me what environmental challenges you would add. Tell me what kind of stat blocks you would want to use for that lieutenant. Put those in the comments. By the way, hit the like button, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell. Let Lewanika and Tabletop Journeys know that this is the kind of stuff you like to hear about, how to make your games better and more exciting. This is a great way to do something at a convention. You want to run a quick learn to play game, or you want to run at your local store to build up a new gaming group. Great way to get it started. Love this idea. I'm actually going to put something together and actually do this myself because I really like this concept. Thank you for that Facebook post. Thank you all for listening. And remember, if you are raising the stakes, if you are using different things to make your encounters cool, and if you are giving your enemies goals, you're on the right path. Be sure you like, subscribe, and smash that button below and ring the bell for notifications.